Good morning. I want to begin with a strange confession. I don't believe ideas are created. I believe ideas are alive. They breathe, they wait, they move quietly through our lives, looking for someone who will notice them, and sometimes, if we are lucky, they choose us. I am a writer, and like many writers, people often ask me such questions like, where do you get your ideas from? It sounds simple, it really does, but it's very tough to answer. Where do your ideas come from? For years I tried to answer it honestly. I said things like observation, inspiration, imagination, another nation, discipline, not really. The more I wrote, the more I realized none of those answers were entirely true, because ideas do not arrive like lightning. They arrive like air, thin air, slowly, invisibly, constantly. Ideas breathe around us all the time. The real question is not where they are from, but the real question is, are we able to listen to them? I listened to an idea once in my childhood. Like, listen, this is funny yet interesting one. Growing up in a middle-class South Indian household, all I could ask for is not the freedom, is not a separate bedroom, not even mobile. You know what I actually could ask for? One DVD player in my school days, and the guts to ask for permission to access it, to perform, to practice that one song, Desharangila, Rangila, that song for his school annual day celebrations. Listen, seriously, that attempt to ask my mom, can I please get that DVD player to school and access it, use it for the practice, that demanded my courage. It's not easy. That really demanded my courage. My mom, being a strict parent, obviously said no, and even asked me to prepare for my arriving exams. You know what I did? One idea that changed my life, I could say that changed my confidence levels. The idea is to write an emotional note telling how I was bullied in my class for not showing up in any of the culturals in school. And also how my dance group members actually trusted me with the choreography. And also how rigorously I practiced all those dance movements in my leisure classrooms, leisure periods. After listening to that, my mom said yes. She even dropped me at school with a DVD player. She herself came to this classroom and plugged in that, and also watched us perform that performance. By the end of it, she said, yeah, you guys are good. Yeah, rocket good. And I was like, oh my God, I could do this. Woohoo! If my 9-year-old self could convince my mom to get that thing done, I thought to myself, my 20-year-old could easily manipulate her into my pursuing masters in English literature. And the rest is history. I'm a writer. Yes, the idea that stayed with me is not the dancing out. The idea that stayed with me is that writing my emotions out sincerely. And I'm proud I'm a writer today. It could be life-changing sometimes. Those small ideas that occur to us when we are kids, those still stay with us. Let me explain what I mean. Most people think writing begins with a plot, a beginning, a middle, an end. But writers know something different. Writing begins with a feeling, a small discomfort, a quiet curiosity, a moment that refuses to leave your mind. Maybe you see two strangers arguing at a train platform, and then maybe you hear a coffee conversation at a cafe. Maybe someone you love says something nice, and that stays with you for years. For most people, these moments pass, but for writers, they don't. They stay. That is the first breath of an idea. When I was in my college, something interesting happened again. Same celebration, same dance performance, same practice sessions, but with a larger crowd and an egoistic organizing committee. That works in favor of science background people, not for arts background people. Yeah, I come from an arts college. So, as most of them are from arts background, obviously they didn't like our performance. They didn't say no upfront. But you know what they did? They put our performance at the end of an event so that if we don't get enough time, we couldn't even perform. We didn't perform. You know what happened? This time, 20 other people also disappointed with what happened. All my friends started questioning my acquaintance with the organizing committee people. Few even blamed me for the lost opportunity. I felt responsible. So, I wrote a story for our college magazine story competition. Of course, with a positive ending. I'm a writer, I could change it. So, that won the first prize in that little small competition. And I won the prize. While receiving that prize, I politely explained the politics involved in organizers committee and got them removed from their respective designations. That moment, those claps, that spark in my friend's eyes, that stayed with me. That idea stayed with me. The story could sound a little harsh, but a little harsh reality check is really what we needed in this harsh life. Ideas don't arrive fully. You know, they don't come like fully formed. They arrive as small fragments. A face, a sentence, a place, a question. A question. Writers are collectors of all these fragments. We could say we collect the way someone laughed awkwardly when they were nervous. We could collect the way rain sounds against the window at 2 a.m. We collect the strange silence that appears when two people who used to love each other sit in the same room over a period of 10 years later. None of these things are stories yet, but they're breathing. And when you collect enough fragments, something extraordinary happens. They begin to connect. They form a story. That story can change lives. I remember writing about a GHMC woman worker once. I wrote a poem imagining her work-life routine at the moment standing on that road pavement while looking at her sweep the greater Hyderabad roads. Spoke to her, tried to empathize with her life, had a chai with her, shared a chai with her at midnight, hugged her tight, and by the end of our conversation, I could literally smell her sweat. That didn't make me feel awkward, nor she felt any embarrassed, but both of us felt content. And also hugged each other so tight all over again. I went back home and gave a thought about that feeling. What could that feeling possibly be? Back in college, we had a special thing called skipping the sleep ritual. I know you guys know it. As they say, young blood doesn't need sleep. It needs inspiration. I found my inspiration to work hard at that moment looking at her sweaty forehead. I found my courage to be myself, however hard my path may get. Moments like these is when an idea begins to inhale. A character starts to exist. We start asking questions. Who is she? What is she afraid of? What happened to her? What does she want? At first the answers are unclear. But slowly the character begins to breathe on her own. Writers know this moment very well. It is the moment when a character stops being an invention and starts being a presence. We begin writing about them and suddenly they do something we didn't even expect. They say something we didn't plan. They make a decision we never outlined. And we realize something surprising. We are no longer controlling the character or the story, but we are just listening to it. Here is something that I listened very carefully. There was a time when most of these film songs started bothering me, whatever the film they are. There's a meet cute moment, and suddenly the hero starts imagining a song. Don't you think the heroine gets a chance to imagine at all? And then there is a kiss scene happening on screen. Again, the hero is somehow imagining a great song with great backgrounds in foreign locations. Why is this woman not getting any chance to imagine anything? And forget about fight scenes. This woman Chuma walks on screen and starts one mass song. Why? Why there is no scope to imagine or initiate something that is creative on screen for female characters? You go home and watch films and observe this happens. Trust me, it happens. It took me some serious film watching to understand that commercial cinema is often told for male gaze, by male gaze, to cater male gaze. That thought underwent some serious metamorphosis to question the whole idea of why mostly men get to initiate an intimate expression of love in cinema, in literature, and in real life. Why is a woman talking about love, desire, and expectations without any hesitation was a taboo after all? That idea demanded all my attention to break a stereotype and write my first book. Let me tell you something important. Every artist, every inspiring person you admire has doubted their ideas. Every single one. The difference between who execute their ideas and who doesn't is not talent, it is patience. Patience to sit with that idea long enough for it to breathe. Because ideas suffocate easily. They suffocate under fear. They suffocate under perfectionism. They suffocate when they say this isn't good enough yet. But ideas do not need perfection. They need oxygen. Sometimes it is simply this: showing up, writing that sentence, write the next one, then the next one. Even when you're unsure, you keep going. That's the space to breathe. When I wrote my first film song, I wrote a song in a day. One day, one song. I finished 3 songs in 3 days. And my director was shocked for a bit. And he couldn't process how a first-time lyric writer can finish a song in a single day without any changes required. To be honest, I questioned myself too. Do I come off as an overachiever, overqualified, or too ambitious of a woman to be? After 10 minutes of overthinking, I gave it up. I can't do it anymore. I thought to myself, I would rather finish writing another song instead of this useless attempt to fit into an alien dimension which cannot accommodate my headspace. Till this day, my director sometimes calls me and he says, I love that album, Macha. You worked very well. That's enough. I think that's done. I have done my part well. Let's think about the stories that stay with us. They're rarely about heroes who always do the right thing. They're about people who struggle, like you, like me, like all of us. People who fail, like you, like me, like all of us. People who make choices we don't fully understand, yet we keep letting them grow on us. Because somewhere in those chaotic moments, in those resembling problems, we recognize ourselves. I understand this person, even if they don't like, even if we don't like those characters. So if there is one thing I want listeners to remember today, it is this: do not rush ideas, do not force them, and most importantly, do not silence them. Sit with them, observe them, understand them badly at first, let them evolve, let them contradict themselves, let them surprise you, because ideas, like living things, need time to grow. And sometimes the smallest idea becomes the most powerful story.